In the primaries, my primary choice that I wanted to win was Vivek Ramaswamy, and after that, I wanted Ron DeSantis. But my third choice, who was very close to the top two, was Donald Trump. I understand that passions flared during the primaries, and many people were upset about treatment they got from fans of each side's candidate and how they felt they were being talked to. And that's totally understandable. In particular, I've met a lot of Ron DeSantis fans who I myself am a Ron DeSantis fan, who feel that some of the things that were said were unforgivable when it comes to Donald Trump and the people that surrounded him. And there's a lot of conservatives in general that are considering not voting for Donald Trump because they don't feel he's conservative enough. In fact, they correctly point to the fact that in many ways, he has a lot of policies that are similar to the Democratic Party of 30 years ago. That's one of the reasons the Democrats 30 years ago should vote for Donald Trump, by the way. Because the Democratic Party of today is radical, and it's not the same as it was 30 years ago. But if you're a conservative, does that mean you should repudiate and reject Donald Trump and Republicans? I don't think so. I think that it is a race between two sides. It is one person versus another at this point. A third-party vote won't materialize into anything meaningful. And that this might be something that would be doable in an election where the stakes weren't this high. The truth is, though, a Kamala Harris presidency would be a disaster for many of the things that conservatives that don't like Trump, including DeSantis conservatives, would stand for. We'll see that they'll attack the First Amendment. So some of your very streamers and pundits that you hear that talk about the importance of conservative values would no longer have unfettered access to do so. It would be deemed disinformation. We would see crackdowns like we saw previously with the pandemic and with election security in 2020 and elsewhere, except it would be even worse this time. How would someone like Ron DeSantis ever achieve power if he had to rely on a narrative that was controlled by our mainstream media? We already see that they're going to call him just like an Austrian dictator and other words like fascist, just like they have Donald Trump, only he'll be worse. Just like J.D. Vance is told to be worse now. Why? Because he'll actually be someone that will be more charming to many people in this country than the boisterous Donald Trump. They understand that his policies will be a threat, just like the policies of Donald Trump, and he'll be maligned as such as well. Donald Trump has a lot of policies that conservatives and DeSantis supporters should actually support. If we don't get Donald Trump, then we're going to end up with at least 2 left-leaning Supreme Court justices. In fact, worse than that, they'll pack the court. They'll end the filibuster. Conservative values such as being pro-life will be thrown out the window. As the court is packed, the filibuster is removed, and abortion will be enshrined in this country in ways that will be difficult to ever return to. Illegal immigration will become rampant. Amnesty will be offered. They'll try to push to have statehood for places like D.C. and Puerto Rico. They'll try to ensure that Democrats win in perpetuity. And then where will our conservative values be? They'll have massive spending, even worse than the direct criticism of Donald Trump, which I understand. Fiscal conservatives have reason to be upset with the spending in the first Trump term. But make no mistake about it, the Democrats will be worlds worse. I understand that there are people that don't like the personality of Donald Trump. There's people that don't like his personal actions. I'm not here to argue that. But I would suggest that we're not voting for a person for their personality. I would suggest that as someone who's very small government as myself, I don't have an option at this point for the perfect candidate. What I do have is someone in Donald Trump who has surrounded himself with people that I respect. I think that Ron DeSantis is a big enough man, and many of these other conservatives, that they're going to reach out and be integral parts of Trump's administration if he wins. I think that if you're worried about the best possible chance for someone great like Ron DeSantis achieving presidency in the future, then the best possible scenario for that is a Trump victory. A Trump loss means, unfortunately, that you're likely to see all those harms that I mentioned that the Democrats will usher in that will all but ensure that they win almost every election going forward. A Trump loss would also mean that Republicans like Mitt Romney will try to take the party back over in a repudiation of many of the policies that people like Ron DeSantis would stand for. The best chance to have the policies, the character, and the values that conservatives and DeSantis supporters want is at this time tomorrow to vote for Donald Trump. Despite the fact that you may be annoyed by some of his followers, despite the fact that you may feel that he treated Ron DeSantis unfairly, despite the fact you may feel that he treated other members of the Republican Party unfairly, or that he has policies that you feel are too left-leaning for your liking. In every metric, though, he is better than Kamala Harris and the Democrats. So I urge you to get out there and vote. Even if you're not as enthused to vote for Donald Trump, You should vote for him because it's the best chance to also vote for Republicans in the House of Representatives and Senate, and then have a presidency that would actually be allowed to have them to have an agenda that hopefully will be more conservative. So I understand being upset the way the primary went, being upset at a lot of the discussion and chatter that's gone on social media circles and elsewhere. But I implore you, for just this time, consider voting for Donald Trump. It'll be the last time that he's in office, the last time that he'll run. And a vote for Donald Trump ensures that we're at least buying time to have the very conservatives and the values you want have a chance to go through not only his administration, but in administrations going forward. A Democratic win at this point, particularly through a radical Kamala Harris, means that the chances of that happening will be dwindled to almost nothing.